Victor slept in the study again tonight. When I went in to bring him coffee, I happened to find him sorting through documents while talking on the phone with the young woman he was seeing. His phone was on speaker next to his computer. The young woman's voice was sweet but slightly bossy. "Why didn't you answer my video call? Are you with that old woman and afraid I'll see you?" Victor patiently soothed her. "What nonsense are you talking about? I'm reviewing a contract. I'll call you back as soon as I'm done. Be a good girl." The young woman persisted. "Victor, don't forget what you promised me. You said you wouldn't touch her again." "I know, you little sweetheart. I've been sleeping in the study all this time. You know that." I heard the softening tone in his voice and felt a moment of confusion. Back then, when I threw a tantrum, he would also lower himself to comfort me. After all this time, he was still the same Victor who, once he fell in love, would spoil the other person without limits. The only thing that had changed was the object of his affection. A girl as young as I was back then. Victor's smile froze on his face the moment he saw me. Perhaps afraid I'd say something inappropriate to his little girl, he hurriedly hung up the phone, frowned, and scolded, "Why didn't you knock before coming in?" I slammed the cup down on the table. "Here's the coffee you wanted. Margaret has an upset stomach, so she asked me to bring it in for her. And I did knock, but you were too engrossed in your love affair to hear me." Victor tugged at his shirt collar, leaned back, and rested against the chair. The expression on his face relaxed as well. "Sorry, it's my fault. Lou has been a bit of a handful these past few days, and I was just busy dealing with her." Mentioning Meng Lu made the corners of his mouth curl upward involuntarily, and his voice softened. Since I discovered his affair, Victor had never hidden his feelings for Meng Lu. I cried, I threw tantrums, and even threatened to kill myself to make him cut ties with her. But he just watched me rant and rave, scolding me for acting like a psycho. Now that I think about it, I did act like a psycho. It took me a long time to pull myself out of this emotional wound. It wasn't exactly bone-breaking, but it was certainly painful. After calming down, I did consider divorce. But that thought was quickly swallowed up by a sense of unwillingness. Yes, unwillingness. I've been with Victor from the very beginning, when we had nothing, to where we are now, successful and accomplished. How could I just let them have him? Plus, as far as I know, Victor has a big project in the works, and once it's finished, his assets will at least double. If I'm going to divorce him, I'll wait until after the project is done. I don't care about him anymore, but there's no point in fighting over money for a dirty cucumber. I don't consider myself a saint. When I loved him, I gave my all. But since he betrayed me, I must find a way to maximize my own interests. Treating Victor as a tool for making money makes this marriage a bit more bearable. My best friend once warned me never to feel sorry for a man or save money for him. Because what you save will eventually be spent by another woman. At the time, I laughed at her for overthinking things, but now I see that it was truly sound advice. The once frugal and thrifty me began to spend money recklessly. If Victor can use our joint assets to support his college-aged daughter, why can't I? So I used the money Victor earned to comfortably support a good-looking college-aged man. I must admit, having a good-looking, well-built guy clinging to me and calling me sis is pretty enjoyable. Thinking about it, I didn't feel like staying there to watch him act so devoted to Meng Lu anymore. These past few days, it wasn't just his little girlfriend causing trouble, my guy was also pretty jealous. I locked myself in the bedroom and sent Ethan a video call. Soon, a stunningly handsome face appeared on the screen. He was wearing white headphones. He must have just finished showering, his hair was still damp. His wheat-colored skin and well-defined muscles were mesmerizing. He looked like a seductive male fairy. I swallowed hard, scrolled down and show me your abs. Ethan blushed and lowered his head, his earlobe on the side facing the camera turning slightly red. He was so innocent. He obediently moved the phone away. There's someone else in the dorm, he whispered. Even his voice was so soft it gave me goosebumps. I chuckled like a pervert, that makes it even more exciting. Ethan's earlobe turned even redder, spreading down to his neck. Fearing I might say something more provocative, he quickly changed the subject. Sis, there's a freshman girl who's been chasing me lately. She looks a bit like you. Given Ethan's looks, it was no surprise that many girls were after him. But this was the first time he'd mentioned it to me. I couldn't help but recall Meng Lu's remark about old women. I felt inexplicably irritated. At 6 years old, Ethan was indeed a bit too young for me. So, do you like her? Then I'll let you go. He clearly panicked at my response. That's not what I meant. He waved his hands and explained, my roommates told me to let you know how popular I am, so you'd have some sense of urgency. I don't want freedom. I just want you to care about me more. Sis, I only like you. His words were urgent and sincere, as if he was truly afraid I would reject him. I sighed. It was supposed to be a mutual arrangement. The last thing I wanted was for either of us to develop feelings. I like you too. But we're just too different. It won't work out. You should find someone your own age and have a normal relationship. Let's just call it quits. No sooner had the words left my mouth than there was an urgent knock on the door. Through the door, Victor's voice sounded irritable. Eleanor, who are you talking to? I hurriedly hung up the video call. Victor's project was in its final stages, and he had already endured it for half a year. I didn't want any complications at the last minute. I opened the door and looked up at him. What, did you finish sweet-talking your side chick? Does she know you came here in the middle of the night to bang on my door? Victor furrowed his brows, his expression dark. He lowered his voice and asked again, who is it? I rolled my eyes and couldn't help but snap, none of your business. Eleanor, you fucking have someone else, don't you? Glancing at his tightly clenched fists, the knuckles turning white from the force, I found it rather amusing. He was the one cheating all over the place, acting like the whole world needed to know he'd cheated on me. Now he can't handle a little gossip. What gives you the right to ask me that? I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. As your cheating husband, or as Meng Lu's boyfriend? It's the dirty one who sees everything as dirty. Victor glared at me, his eyes like knives. He reached out his hand. Give me the phone. I ignored him, retreated into the room, and slammed the door in his face. Victor went crazy, pounding on the door. I was annoyed, so I sent a message to Meng Lu. Your man is banging on my door. Maybe he wants to have some fun with me. Should I open the door now? A few minutes later, it finally went quiet. I exhaled deeply, tossed my phone aside, and fell onto the bed, staring at the ceiling. The WeChat notification sound kept ringing. I didn't know if it was Ethan, Meng Lu, or both of them frantically sending me messages. No matter who it was, I didn't want to see it right now. It was so annoying. The next morning, Victor had already gone to work. Margaret brought breakfast and hesitated before asking, Madam, did you have an argument with Sir? He seems to be in a bad mood today. Margaret is a good person, but she's a bit old-fashioned. I've told her many times to just call us by our names, but she insists on calling us by our titles. She even told me we can't break the rules. In the end, I just let her be. I picked up an egg and tapped it on the table twice, shrugging indifferently. It must be that woman he's seeing who's causing trouble. Meng Lu had been spoiled by Victor lately and had become a bit arrogant. Victor must have had a rough night last night. Margaret's expression changed several times. Madam, you can't let Sir continue like this. You've been married for so many years, it's time to have a child. Perhaps having a child could make Sir change his mind. Trying to bind a man who's already changed his heart with a child, how desperate does one have to be to resort to that? I shook my head. That wouldn't be fair to the child. Besides, I don't want him back. When I even threatened to kill myself and he still wouldn't change his mind, I knew I didn't want him anymore. When the company was on the right track, I stepped down from my position as general manager and started my own studio. Designing jewelry I loved, I've achieved some success over the past 2 years. Just as I parked the car in the studio's underground garage, Ethan suddenly appeared out of nowhere. His eyes were red, and the swelling under his upper eyelids hadn't gone down yet. Sis. He called out to me, his voice sounding hoarse. His eyes looked pitifully at me, like a abandoned puppy. What are you doing here? I asked. You didn't reply to my messages, and I didn't dare to call you. I could only come here to wait for you. He took a few steps forward and carefully grabbed the hem of my sleeve. Don't abandon me. If I've done something wrong, you can tell me. I'll change. I started to feel irritated again, mixed with a pain I couldn't ignore. Ethan, you need to be clear. Our relationship is twisted. We're not even breaking up, we can't even use that word. It's over. Do you understand? The color drained from Ethan's face. He lowered his head, refusing to speak. But his hand still clung tightly to my sleeve. He held on so tightly. I took a deep breath and eventually softened my heart. Find a girl your age and have a proper relationship. Go have a healthy, open relationship that can be shared in the sunlight. Ethan sniffed and rejected my suggestion without hesitation. I only want you. We struggled in the underground garage for a while, but in the end, I couldn't persuade him. Well, whatever. He's still young. Give him time, and he'll eventually get tired of me. Just like Victor, who once loved me so much he was willing to jump into a river for me, but now he's moved on. After drawing all morning, I stretched and decided to take a break. As soon as I opened my phone, I saw that Meng Lu had sent me a bunch of messages again. This woman is getting more and more brazen. When she first added me as a friend, she didn't even dare to say who she was. She only dared to show off her love in her WeChat moments. Now she dares to challenge me directly. She sent 2 photos. In one, she was wearing an expensive necklace and smiling like a flower. In the other, she was also wearing a necklace, which was very pretty, but clearly inferior to the one in the previous photo. But I recognized it immediately. It was the exact one I had loved so much but couldn't afford a few years ago. That year, Victor and I were preparing to get married, and he took me jewelry shopping. I fell in love with that necklace at first sight. But at the time, our careers were just starting out, and we couldn't afford such an expensive purchase. He held my hand, his eyes red from holding back tears. He said, "Honey, I'm sorry for making you feel this way. I'll work hard and make a lot of money someday, and then I'll buy you every piece of jewelry in the mall." Later, he did make a lot of money, enough to buy dozens, even hundreds of malls. But he forgot the promise he made to me, to buy me all the jewelry in the mall. Below the photo were a few lines of text. Vic bought me 2 necklaces to make me happy. But I didn't like the second one. I wanted to give it to Sis as a gift, but I was afraid she wouldn't like it either. But Vic said Sis had been eyeing this one for years. So I'll have him take it back tonight. I hope Sis doesn't mind. This act of pretending to be innocent and competing with other women is truly disgusting. I didn't spoil her. My mother only gave birth to me. Don't copy the ancient wives' way of addressing each other. It's degrading. From now on, just call me Mrs. H. Perhaps the words, Mrs. H, hurt her fragile ego. She didn't respond, but soon after, Victor called. "What did you say to her again? Can you stop causing trouble and stop provoking her? I prepared a gift for you." I cursed again, F***CKU. Get lost. Then I hung up without hesitation. I think I might have developed a phobia of big jerks. I'm afraid of big jerks. Sitting on the chair, I sulked for a while, feeling more and more disgusted. I picked up my phone again and sent Victor the screenshots of my chat with Meng Lu. Even if I'd already decided to divorce him once the project was over, I needed him to see clearly what kind of person he'd fallen for. Coming here to lecture me? Saying I provoked her? If he made me uncomfortable, then no one would be comfortable. Open your dog eyes and look clearly. Who provoked whom first? Are you going to tell me that the gift you prepared for me was the necklace your missy didn't want? Don't disgust me. I don't care. Without waiting for his reply, I quickly added all his contact information to my blacklist. Rather than wasting my energy on myself, I'd rather go crazy and take it out on others. That feels so damn good. Victor changed his number several times and called me, but I added all of them to my blacklist. It started to rain lightly in the evening. When I got home, Victor was sitting upright on the sofa. His white collar had a long lipstick mark on it, which stood out. On the table in front of him was a beautifully wrapped gift box. When he saw me come in, he stood up and handed me the box. "Let me explain. This is something I bought especially for you. I didn't know Lou would steal it. I didn't know she would say those things to you. I took it and threw it into the trash can beside me. I think anything she touches is dirty. Including you." Victor's face darkened. He clenched his teeth and glared at me fiercely. "Eleanor, don't push it too far." "I'm pushing it too far? Do you need me to remind you of everything you've done?" He paused, shifting his angry gaze away from me, clenching his fists before slowly releasing them. He didn't argue, nor could he. I didn't feel like continuing the argument, so I walked past him and returned to the bedroom. Fearing Victor might hear, I didn't play Ethan after my shower but instead chatted with him via text. As we were chatting, there was a knock on the door. Victor stood at the door, his clothes damp. He awkwardly shoved a gift box into my hands. I just went out and bought it again. She hasn't touched it, so it's clean. He licked his lips and continued, I remember you really liked it before. I just couldn't afford it back then. I cut him off. Oh, sorry. I don't like it anymore. Victor furrowed his brows, looking confused. Why? I snorted, feelings for people can change, let alone an outdated accessory. Don't bother me anymore. I slammed the door in his face again. Because he had gotten wet in the rain, Victor had a fever. When he was sick, he was always particularly difficult to deal with. Margaret made him nutritious meals in various ways, but he refused to eat any of them, insisting on having the preserved egg and lean meat congee I had cooked. Back when he first started his business, he was probably busy and stressed, so Victor often fell ill. Every time he was sick, I would cook him the congee. After he finished eating, he would rest his head on my shoulder and cuddle me. Wife, you're so kind. You're the best wife in the whole world. At that time, we were poor, living in a tiny rented apartment. But every day was filled with happiness. But later, things changed. Does having money really make a man change for the worse? Margaret looked at me with a troubled expression. Madam, why don't you cook some porridge for sir? He's not eating anything, and his body can't take it. I nodded. She was right. If he kept getting sick, the project would have to be delayed. I opened the chat window with Meng Lu again. Your husband is sick. Come take care of him. At home, seeing Meng Lu, Victor's already haggard face from the fever looked even worse. He coughed and asked with a dark expression, why are you here at our house? Unexpectedly, he said that. Meng Lu froze for a moment, forcing down the rising anger. She lowered her head, looking pitiful. I heard you were sick, so I came to take care of you. Victor glanced at me, seeing my expression of watching a play, and suddenly became impatient. He roughly started to shoo her away. We don't need you. Go back. Meng Lu had always been pampered and spoiled by him, so she couldn't bear his current attitude. She cried and turned to run away. However, she ran slowly, probably hoping Victor would chase after her and comfort her. But Victor stood there motionless, not moving an inch. I sighed softly, muttering to myself. Just 2 days ago, he was so lovey-dovey. Already tired of her? Got it, you sweetheart. You. Disgusting. Meng Lu had been wronged by Victor and wanted to take it out on me. What did you say to Vic? He's never treated me like this before. I thought about it. Maybe I sent him screenshots of our chat. Oh, he also said the necklace was something he bought specially for me, and you were the one who took it without asking. It seems like that's the only thing I did. Meng Lu must have been furious, starting to curse wildly. You bitch. Skank. You deserve it that Victor doesn't want you. You're old, just find a nursing home and stay there quietly, don't come out and cause trouble. I calmly took a screenshot and told her. Wow, so rude. Aren't you afraid I'll screenshot this and send it to that blind jerk? As soon as the message was sent, she started deleting them one by one. Too late, my babe. I unblocked Victor, sent the message, and blocked him again. Before blocking him, I didn't forget to curse him out like a dog. Equal destruction for every pair of scummy men and women. Before this, I never thought of causing trouble for Meng Lu. Even when I tried to save this broken marriage by attempting suicide, I never said a single bad word about her. I always believed that flies don't land on eggs without cracks. Infidelity is mainly due to a man's lack of resolve. But the more I acted like this, the more she thought I was a pushover. She provoked me time and again. Even went as far as to confront me directly on several occasions. I slit my wrists and lay in the hospital, and she came to visit me. She pressed her hand against the bandage on my wrist, her face filled with sympathy. Vic is really cruel to sis. Even in this state, he doesn't care about you. Even if I just scrape my skin a little, he gets so worried. She brought her girlfriends to my studio and criticized my work. Several people laughed loudly and commented freely. They said how bad my taste must be to like the ugly things I designed. If I keep enduring this, even Notre Dame de Paris would have to invite me to ring the bells. Meng Lu hasn't bothered me for a long time. I don't know if Victor said something to her or if she's scared of me taking screenshots. Victor, on the other hand, has started hanging around me frequently. Not only does he bring me little gifts every now and then, but he even cooks my favorite dishes for me. His unusual behavior only makes me feel annoyed. Is this really affecting my relationship with Pup? Victor placed the last dish on the table and took off his apron. Next week is the company celebration banquet. Will you come with me? Celebration banquet? Does that mean the project is finished? I smiled and agreed, but in my heart, I was already planning to hire a lawyer soon to draft a divorce agreement. He hung up the apron, sat down, and picked up a piece of chicken wing, placing it in my bowl. If you have time in the next couple of days, could you go buy me a couple of outfits? Something that matches your evening gown. I was about to refuse, but then I thought, Ethan's birthday is coming up, so I might as well take this opportunity to buy him a gift. Thinking of Ethan, even Jerk looked more bearable. I smiled again and nodded in agreement. The atmosphere was unusually relaxed. Victor cleared his throat, and 2 flushes of red appeared on his pale face. I'll sleep in the bedroom tonight. Don't lock the door. My hand holding the chopsticks trembled, then I slammed them down on the table, my face sinking. You want to sleep with me? Dream on. Unprepared for my intense reaction, Victor slammed his chopsticks down too and stormed out. Perhaps my actions had greatly challenged his dignity as a man, and he was so angry that he didn't come home for 2 days. I was happy to have some freedom. I chose a weekend to go shopping with Ethan. I linked my arm through his and chatted happily as we walked into the mall, where we ran into Victor, who was helping Meng Lu pick out clothes. He seemed to be getting impatient, glancing at his watch frequently. Just as I was about to pull Ethan away, before I could take a step, our eyes met with Victor's, who had finished checking his watch. His gaze shifted downward, fixating on my hand resting on Ethan's arm. His handsome features hardened, exuding an inexplicable sharpness. He quickly walked over to me and pulled me to his side. This guy with the smug face, is he the one from the phone call last time? Victor asked. His voice was hoarse and strained. I nodded in acknowledgement. I had already prepared myself to end this, so there was no need to hide anything anymore. I could almost hear the sound of him grinding his teeth. You too, how far have you gone? It took him a great deal of effort to get the words out. I replied casually, whatever you and your missy have done, we've done too. Victor's face turned red, then white, then green. He gripped my arm, his grip growing tighter and tighter. Noticing my discomfort, Ethan placed his hand on Victor's wrist. Mr. Harper, you're hurting her. Those words finally made Victor release his grip on me. His hand, which had been released, clenched into a fist and struck Ethan's face with force. 2 men over 6 feet tall began to wrestle, quickly drawing the attention of those around them. Among them was Meng Lu, who had just finished changing her clothes. She screamed and rushed forward to pull the 2 apart. Upon recognizing Ethan's face, she took a step back, the color draining from her face. Jiang Sr. Someone must have called the police, and the 4 of us were taken to the police station. Meng Lu kept glancing at Ethan. Her expression was a mix of confusion and panic. I leaned against Ethan and whispered, "Do you know her?" Ethan frowned. "She's the girl I told you about, the junior who's been chasing me. But I rejected her long ago. She's the one who's been harassing me, like she can't understand a word I say." Our whispered conversation caught Victor's attention. He shot us a cold glance, which I returned with a wide-eyed stare. "Jerk, you deserve to be cheated on, by different people." The police officer taking our statements was young, sitting on a chair and looking up at us. "What were you fighting about?" Seeing no one respond, he asked again, "What's your relationship?" I knew this one. I pointed at Victor, my husband. Then at Ethan, my boyfriend. Finally, I pointed at Meng Lu, my husband's girlfriend, and also my boyfriend's ex-girlfriend. The relationships were too complicated, and the young officer froze, his mouth agape, forgetting to take notes. Both parties agreed to settle, and the matter was dropped. As soon as we stepped out of the police station, Victor grabbed my arm. "Come home with me. We need to talk." Ethan quickly grabbed my other arm. I gave him a reassuring smile. "It's okay, I should talk to him properly." Though reluctant, Ethan let go. Back home, Victor threw me onto the bed and locked the door. He ripped off his tie, undid the top 2 buttons of his shirt, and pressed his body against mine, kissing me wildly. I twisted and dodged his kisses, pushing him away with all my strength, but I couldn't shake him off. Moreover, my resistance seemed to make him even more irrational. Just as he was about to press his lips against mine, I slapped him across the face with all my strength. Victor's skin was pale, and the spot where I hit him quickly turned red and swollen. He grabbed my wrist and pressed it against my head. Gritting his teeth, he demanded, "What's this? Are you trying to stay pure for him? Eleanor, don't you dare forget. You're my wife. You still know I'm your wife?" I sneered. "Did you think about that when you were cheating on me? Did you think about that when I was lying alone in the hospital after attempting suicide? Did you think about that when you were making love with your mistress, acting so affectionate?" With each word I spoke, his expression grew uglier. The past was embarrassing, but at least it was over. I didn't want to keep reopening old wounds and digging up old dirt. I looked at him calmly and said, "Victor, let's get a divorce." "No, impossible. Eleanor, I can't divorce you." Victor panicked. He stood up, opened the door, and stumbled out. "What can that e-face give you? Think about it yourself." In the middle of the night, Victor, drunk out of his mind, was brought back by his friends. Seeing me, his cloudy eyes suddenly brightened. He broke free from his friend's support and rushed over to hug me. His head rubbed against the crook of my neck. This was his usual way of acting spoiled. "Wife, why didn't you come to pick me up? Let's not get divorced, okay, wife? I promise I'll never cheat again. Let's forget about it, okay? From now on, we'll live a good life together. You'll give me a big, healthy daughter. She should look just like you." As he spoke, he began to choke up. "I'm sorry, wife, I'm sorry. I don't want to divorce you." I sighed and gently patted his back. "It's too late. We can't go back." "Yes, it's too late. I gave you a chance, Victor. Not just once." When Victor came downstairs rubbing his temples, I was discussing the divorce with the lawyer. I waved him over. "You're just in time. Come take a look and see if there's anything that needs to be changed." I pushed the draft agreement toward him. Victor's eyebrows were almost twisted into a knot. Without even glancing at it, he picked up the unfinished divorce agreement and threw it straight into the trash can. "I told you, I won't divorce you." I gave the lawyer an apologetic smile and shifted my gaze back to Victor. "Then we'll have to file for divorce." Victor swept his arm across the table, sending the teapot and cups crashing to the floor. "You really want to divorce me? So eager to run off with that e-face?" I raised an eyebrow. "Don't you want to?" He stared blankly for a moment before snapping, "Anyway, Mrs. H can only be you. Eleanor, even if I die, you'll be buried by my side." I stepped past him and looked behind him at Meng Lu, who was carrying a fruit platter out of the kitchen. "So you've never once considered marrying that young girl? You want her to be your mistress for the rest of her life?" Victor grew increasingly impatient. "Can you stop dragging an outsider into our business? From the very beginning, our relationship was nothing but a transaction. I've cut ties with her, and you should do the same with your e-face. Don't get any ideas. Let's just live our lives from now on." Meng Lu's delicate face turned pale. Her hand slipped, and the fruit platter fell to the ground with a crisp sound. Victor looked over in the direction of the sound, a flash of disgust in his eyes. "When did you come here? Didn't I tell you not to come to our house anymore?" Meng Lu's slightly parted lips trembled. "You blocked me. I had no choice but to come here to find you." Victor mocked. "What, was the breakup money I gave you not enough for you to chase after another man? Get out. If you don't want me to demand back the money and items I transferred to you, don't ever show your face here again." Meng Lu clenched her fists tightly and glared at me with hatred before leaving. I thought she must hate me deeply now. Perhaps in her eyes, if I hadn't exposed her for chasing after Ethan, Victor wouldn't have left her. Victor seemed to be trying to take us back to the time when we were deeply in love. A bouquet of flowers today, a handwritten letter tomorrow. He kept asking me to reconcile. It was laughable. He was the one who shattered my heart into 1,000 pieces, and now he has the nerve to ask me to mend it and start over. Victor refuses to agree to a divorce, so I have no choice but to go through legal proceedings. While I'm busy preparing the paperwork, he's busy preparing surprises for me. Soon it was time for the celebration banquet. Last time, because of the fight between him and Ethan, I didn't get to buy the banquet dress or the gift for Ethan. I was wearing the champagne-colored evening gown he had sent someone to deliver, standing by his side, responding to others' genuine or insincere congratulations. All I could think about was what to buy for Ethan. The noisy commotion snapped me back to reality. I looked up to see Victor kneeling on one knee in front of me, holding a diamond ring that was clearly very expensive. It was worlds apart from the plain platinum ring on my finger. The people around us started cheering. "Kiss him, kiss him." I hurriedly pulled Victor to his feet and smiled, trying to defuse the situation. "We're an old married couple, what's there to be ashamed of?" I squeezed his arm tightly, leaving a circle of wrinkles on his expensive suit fabric. Victor clearly understood my unspoken words. He closed his eyes slightly, and the corners of his lips turned into a straight line. He looked utterly dejected. He pulled me into his arms and whispered hoarsely in my ear. "Do you really like him that much? Can't we have another chance?" To outsiders, the scene was beautiful and romantic, especially since he had just proposed to me with a diamond ring. But no one knew that a tear had fallen onto the back of my neck. At the celebratory banquet, I gave Victor all the respect he deserved. After all, when people are laughing at someone, it's rarely just one person being mocked. I didn't want to be treated like a monkey for others to gawk at, and deep down, I didn't think there was any need to tear things apart. Victor seemed to suddenly recall the promises he had never kept in the past and was desperately trying to salvage things. There were even a few times when I passed by the study and saw him holding our old photos, crying secretly. Empty wine bottles were scattered on the floor. As for his efforts, I was just like he had been in the past. I chose to ignore them. He always thought that I wanted a divorce because of Ethan. I didn't tell him that the thought had been there for a long time, but now the timing was right. In just half a month, he had lost a lot of weight. The tailored suit he had custom-made no longer fit him properly. But I no longer feel any pity for him. On Ethan's birthday, I brought the watch I bought for him to see him. As I was about to leave, Victor stopped me. He lowered his head, half his face hidden in the shadows. It seemed like he was begging me not to go. He must have suddenly remembered that today was also our wedding anniversary. I tilted my head and thought for a moment. I remember, on my birthday, you stopped me like this too. But you still left. You said that day was your 100-day anniversary with Meng Lu, and you had to go be with her. If I stay today, will probably feel as bad as I did back then. I'm sorry, he murmured, but if you leave, I'll be sad too. Victor, you're the one who made me feel this way, so it's only fair that I'm returning the favor. But he never made me feel this way, so I can't make him feel this way either. That's called fairness. The arm blocking my way dropped limply. After I walked out, I heard him choke out behind me. You cheated on me for fairness too? I didn't answer. At first, it was, but, facing Ethan, who was gentle, understanding, and considerate, how many girls could remain completely clear-headed? This was the first time I had met Ethan's roommate. A few young men greeted me friendly, their eyes clear and innocent, untouched by the hardships of life. One of them, a darker-skinned guy, nudged Ethan with his shoulder and joked, "Your girlfriend is way prettier than in the photos. No wonder even the dance department's campus queen was chasing after you, and you still didn't give her the time of day." Ethan pushed him away nervously. "Don't say that. Sis, he's just joking. No one's chasing after me." Last time, when I mentioned ending things with him because a girl was chasing him, it seemed to really scare him. Just as I was about to comfort him, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number from the city. When I answered, the wind was blowing loudly, making the voice on the other end sound broken. "Eleanor, I'm on the top floor of Macy's. I'll wait for you for half an hour. If you don't come, I'll jump." Macy's is a shopping mall in our area with cheap prices and a wide variety of items. When we were broke, Victor and I would usually go there on dates. Before I could say anything, Victor hung up. I bit my lip, hesitated for a moment, then grabbed Ethan's hand. Come with me somewhere." On the way, I called the police. When we arrived at the destination, I didn't let Ethan get out of the car. Wait here for me. I'll be down soon." I gently kissed his lips. "Wait for me to come back, and I'll celebrate your birthday with you. Victor and I are still legally married. If he finds out I didn't stop him from trying to kill himself, I'll be in trouble too. That's why I came here." I can't let him drag me down. But today is Ethan's birthday, and I can't just leave him alone. If I take him with me, I'm afraid the police will involve him when they arrive. It's hard to do everything perfectly. Ethan pulled me, looking serious. Sis, I'll go with you. I'm afraid he'll hurt you. I shook my head and smiled. He won't. He's just not willing to let go. He wants to cause a scene to make me change my mind. Don't worry, he won't really kill himself, and he won't hurt me either. He's just trying to copy the tactics I've used before, forcing me to make a decision. Ethan lowered his eyelashes, casting a patchy shadow on his lower eyelids. Then, will sis change her mind? I shook my head firmly. Victor and I had reached a crossroads. From here on, there was only one outcome: we would part ways. When I reached the rooftop, Victor was sitting on the railing, smoking a cigarette, with a can of beer in the other hand. His empty shirt flapped in the wind, making a rustling sound. He turned to look at me and smiled, raising his hand in a toast. You said it was fair. He spoke slowly, his voice hoarse and unpleasant from smoking too much. Back then, you threatened to kill yourself to make me break up with Meng Lu. Now I'm doing this, so it's fair. I'll die, or break up with him, you choose. I fidgeted with my hair in frustration, wanting to kick him off the railing. How dare he bring that up? Yes, I did threaten to kill myself. But what did you do? You called me a psycho. Victor, I'm giving that line right back to you. His body swayed, and I quickly softened my tone. It's just a tantrum. I didn't die back then, did I? Victor, you're just like I was back then, trapped in your own obsession. Come here first, and let's talk seriously. The corner of my eye caught a glimpse of an orange-yellow sleeve. The firefighters had arrived. I kept Victor's attention until the orange-yellow figure lunged forward and pinned him down. Victor smiled, tears streaming down his face. You know very well that if you had made the choice I wanted, I would have gone back with you willingly. But you refused to budge from the start. Not even if you had lied to me? I shook my head. Lying is wrong. You didn't choose to lie to me back then, did you? Through the changing seasons, our divorce case dragged on for a year. It seems that as long as one party refuses, divorce is indeed a complicated matter. I moved out of the house and bought a small apartment near the studio. The next day, Victor bought the apartment next door at a high price. I don't know who gave him the idea, but he came up to me and started spouting nonsense. Since we can't go back to the past, let's start over and pursue you again. I felt like maybe exposing Meng Lu's true colors had brought down divine retribution, and the karma was Victor, who wouldn't leave no matter how much I hit or scolded him. He seemed to truly not understand what it meant to give up, nor did he understand what it meant to be a nuisance. As the days grew hotter, Ethan graduated from university. He was wearing his graduation gown and cap, smiling brightly in the sunlight. I held the camera, snapping photos of him non-stop. He was truly the one I had chosen, a rare beauty. Every photo turned out stunning. Danger often strikes in an instant. In the moment the camera captured Ethan throwing the bouquet and running toward me, I was pushed backward by a force. My knees sank into the soft grass. Behind me, screams echoed repeatedly. Blood spread out in a curved pattern. The guy who had been clinging to me for a year lay in a pool of blood, with a knife still stuck in his abdomen. He had followed me secretly after all. The assailant, Meng Lu, had been subdued by Ethan, who had twisted his arms behind his back. I crawled over on all fours, afraid of causing him further injury, not daring to touch him. Victor, hold on. I fumbled for my phone, but my hands wouldn't obey me. They were shaking too much. It's okay, don't cry. Victor raised his arm, struggling to touch my face. Was I crying? I roughly wiped my face with my hands, leaving them soaked. Someone had called 120, and Victor was quickly loaded into the ambulance. In the ambulance, he held my hand and asked me with great effort. If I survive, can you give me another chance? I didn't answer directly. Victor, if you die saving me, I'll feel guilty for the rest of my life. You must survive, I beg you. He twitched his lips, as expected. Even now, you won't lie to me. Don't cry. I still have so much money left to spend. How could I die? Fortunately, the knife didn't hit his spleen. It was just severe bleeding, requiring an immediate blood transfusion. Ethan stayed by my side, waiting outside the emergency room for over 3 hours. He hesitated for a long time before finally mustering the courage to ask me, "Sis, if Mr. Harper is okay, would you reconcile with him?" I shook my head. A debt is a debt, and feelings are feelings. They can't be mixed together. If I were to reunite with him simply because he saved my life, that wouldn't be fair to either of us. Victor woke up the next morning. I made some congee and brought it to him. He glanced at it with disdain. "Why isn't it preserved egg and lean meat congee?" I stirred the plain congee with a spoon and scolded him gently. "The doctor said you just had surgery, so you need to drink plain congee." He hummed in response and fell silent. After a long while, the congee had cooled down. Just as I was about to feed him, he spoke again. "Bring the divorce papers tomorrow." I nodded and said softly, "Okay." After all this time, we finally let each other go. Meng Lu was arrested for intentional assault. During the interrogation, she requested to see me. I also wanted to hear what she had to say. After over a year, she looked haggard. She was no longer the glamorous woman she once was. "Eleanor, you must be curious why I wanted to kill you, right?" She glared at me with hatred, as if she wanted to devour me alive. "Because you deserve to die. The two people I loved, both because you rejected me." Victor pretended to love and pamper me, but during our intimate moments, he called your name more than once. And Jiang Sr., I loved him so much. I was ready to leave Victor for him. But he refused, saying he already had someone he loved and told me to stop bothering him. Out of excitement, the handcuffs kept hitting the table, making a clinking sound. "Eleanor, what's so great about you that they'd abandon me for you? Do you know how tired I am of pretending to be innocent and kind in front of Victor? Even though I knew he might just see me as a replacement for you, I accepted it. But in the end, he still rejected me because of your meddling. If he hadn't rejected me, I wouldn't have ended up with Benjamin, that beast who's worse than an animal. That beast abuses me, and he's sick. He's sick. Do you know how much time I have left to live? Eleanor, all of this is your fault." I took off my headphones, stood up, and quietly watched her through the glass. Her worldview had been completely twisted. No matter how much I tried to reason with her, it was like talking to a wall. After leaving the police station, I contacted the most renowned lawyer specializing in criminal cases. I would do everything in my power to ensure she received a longer sentence. Victor was saved, but he was left with a chronic illness. The rest of his life would likely be spent in pain, especially during the cold months. Following the doctor's advice, he decided to move to another city. Before leaving, he came to see me. He pulled a baked sweet potato from his pocket and handed it to me. "I've been keeping it warm. Eat it while it's hot." When I was in college, there was an old man outside the school who sold sweet potatoes that were especially delicious. He would often buy some, wrap them in a plastic bag, and slip them into his clothes to bring to me. I took it, peeled off the skin, and took a bite. It didn't taste the same as before. "My flight leaves tomorrow afternoon. Will you come to see me off?" He looked at me with hope in his eyes and asked cautiously. I shook my head. "Have a safe trip. You're really heartless." He looked up at the young man wrapped in a coat, waiting quietly for me in the distance. He asked again, "Do you really like him that much?" I followed his gaze and smiled. "Yes, I like him a lot." Victor's side story. After being with Eleanor for so many years, I thought I had grown tired of her. So when a young girl who resembled her but was pure and innocent appeared, I threw myself headfirst into her arms without hesitation. She cried and screamed, even cutting her wrists to threaten me. I just found it annoying. Extremely annoying. Her disheveled appearance looked no different to me than a street prostitute. The scarlet mark on my heart had turned into mosquito blood on the wall. Later, she stopped crying and throwing tantrums, and even graciously stopped asking about my relationship with Meng Lu. I was satisfied. But I didn't know that the reason she could be so calm was because she no longer loved me. Meng Lu was very much like her when they were in college, innocent and naive, unaware of the ways of the world. Even her tendency to be jealous and throw tantrums was similar. I enjoyed the occasional spoiled behavior Meng Lu displayed when she was jealous. So when Meng Lu asked me not to touch her, I thought about it and agreed. I was certain I no longer loved her. That night, I felt my attitude had been a bit harsh and wanted to apologize to her. Instead, I accidentally overheard her talking about breaking up with someone. Anger surged within me. I confronted her about cheating, but she asked me what my place was to say that. Yeah, I was the one who cheated first. How could I have the right to accuse her? It was like a thorn, pricking me every now and then. And I was like a cowardly turtle, too scared to even ask another question. Meng Lu was causing trouble again because of me, and for the first time, I realized that the jealousy I once enjoyed was actually pretty annoying. To distract her, I took her to pick out a necklace. While she was trying it on, my eyes were drawn to the most inconspicuous one in the corner. In my mind, I saw Eleanor's face, a bit more innocent than she is now. She looked up at me with a soft voice. Wearing these accessories is too much trouble. Let's just buy a simple ring. She probably didn't even notice herself, but the corners of her eyes kept drifting toward the necklace she said she didn't like. I asked the salesperson to wrap it in the most elegant gift box. Meng Lu glanced over and pouted, I don't like this one. I replied casually, it's not for you. After hearing that, she seemed even more displeased, but I wasn't in the mood to comfort her. I wonder if Eleanor will like this gift. I never expected Meng Lu to do something like this. I began to question whether I truly understood that girl. I also began to question whether I had truly lost my feelings for Eleanor. She casually tossed the necklace into the trash can, and my heart ached. So, disregarding the thunder and lightning outside, I rushed into the rain. I gave her the necklace I had bought again, but she was still unhappy. She said she didn't like it anymore. I didn't know if she meant the item or me. Or maybe both. I broke up with Meng Lu after she insulted Eleanor. She pleaded with me to forgive her, her eyes swollen and red, saying she just cared too much about me. Those almond-shaped eyes were misty with tears, looking so pitiful. Through her, I seemed to see the 18-year-old Eleanor. Back when we were dating, Eleanor would look at me like that when she was being spoiled and clingy. I gently wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Carrie transferred 2 million to you. Let's go pick out 2 outfits in a couple of days. Let's part ways amicably. I never expected to run into Eleanor at the mall. As for the smile on her face, how long had it been since I last saw it? It felt like ages. Jealousy clouded my judgment. I hit her. At the police station, she accused Meng Lu of pursuing that e-faced guy, but I felt nothing. But hearing her say, my boyfriend, was especially painful. After everything was laid out, she asked me for a divorce. I panicked. To be honest, I never once thought we'd ever part ways. Not even during the times when I thought she was a shrew. I wanted to save the relationship, but she wouldn't give me a chance. Not even when I tried to mimic her and threaten suicide. Sitting on the rooftop in the wind, I thought about so many things. I thought about how desperate and helpless she must have been, how much she wanted to save our broken marriage, that she resorted to such extreme measures. Just like me right now. Even when I threatened to kill myself, she didn't give me a chance. Even when my life was truly in danger, she didn't budge. I never knew she could be so stubborn. So stubborn that she wouldn't even tell a single lie that we both knew was a lie. She must have truly given up on me. She cried and begged me not to die, but I knew it was only out of guilt. Or perhaps there was still a thread of familial affection left after all these years. How could I bear to die before seeing what our future child would look like? How could I bear to let you carry the guilt of my death for the rest of your life? Eleanor, don't cry. When I wake up, I'll set you free.